Hey everybody. To the ladies, I owe you an apology. I know that the "see you next Tuesday" word isn't really your favorite. Um, in British TV, it's used excessively. And this morning, as I was thinking about this, what I want to talk to today, I realized that the reason they use the "see you next Tuesday" in their language on their shows is the same reason that America uses "fuck" on their shows excessively. Because when I get told I have an extremely vulgar vocabulary at times, I always go, well, when I watched Vice Versa with Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds, fuck was every other word, literally. Like, you can't go 3 seconds in that movie without one of those two characters saying fuck, and so on and so forth with American Hollywood. But that's the illusion, because it's Hollywood, and that's what I want to talk about right now. Recently, through everything that's been going on, I had a sort of an encounter with, I don't know if you want to call it my higher self. I personally call it my divine and holy self. And I'm not sure what the first piece was, but I was doing some prayer, and that's what it was. I was praying, I was doing my prayers, and all of a sudden I realized that I am an illusion. Now, when I was back in Invermere over the summertime, and I was doing a lot of prayer and meditation and had no stress in my life, a lot of revelations came through, and one of the things that came through was that I created myself. And so that was kind of the first piece of this video. Now, when I say I created myself, what I'm saying is that you and I, our bodies, this physical reality, all of it, it's complete illusion. What we don't understand when we say that is that ego is our camera. Ego is the facilitation of what we believe to be true. And that's why a lot of people don't like ego, because they put ego in with all of these different issues, and yet ego is exactly that. It's like you can't really okay, here we go. So this is a tarot deck, right? There are 72 cards. So let's say out of these, this is your ego. This is the sum total of you as a living being, but this is consciousness. So let's say you start doing what I'm doing, which is you start doing Reiki, you start doing meditation, you start unraveling the baggage. Okay, well, there's your baggage, right? Now, you're left with only that which is working for you. But as time progresses, as certain situations come together, you realize, okay, well, these things aren't working. I'm not going to, I don't need these anymore, so I'm going to get rid of them. Okay, you still have this. So now you're left with a conscious and an unconscious in your consciousness, in your brain, and now you have to decide, is this real? Is this real? Is any of this real? And when you get to that point, you start to connect to the divine and holy self, the part of you that is basically the part of you that's controlling all of this. Now, when I was in Invermere, I was shown that I created me. So my higher self, if you will, created this illusion. It created this vessel to bring about the ability for it to experience life based on the parameters of these thoughts, which is therefore ego. And so I realized in Vermeer that I had created myself. And then when I was here, most recently, that kind of left me going forward to a point where it said, I don't exist. Because this, as the physical image that you see talking to you and listening and that you're hearing, that's an illusion, because the entire existence is an illusion. And so it's why we talk about 3-dimensional and 5-dimensional reality, because technically the 3-dimensional is the illusion. When Buddha came into enlightenment and he hit, I think he called it Maya or Naya, but anyways, he called it illusion. And what the illusion was this reality. It wasn't anything other than that all of his thoughts, all of his existence was illusion. And so what it broke down to last night was, well, basically that I was an illusion, that this entire existence is an illusion. So all of our joy, all of our pain, all of our pain is an illusion, because we are experiencing pain based on a three-dimensional issue. Our divine and holy self, our higher existence, is never experiencing the pain because it doesn't know pain. It doesn't know. It only knows what it's doing. It only knows what we're doing and what we're experiencing. Now, some people, the Christians, would call that God. But in my understanding, the idea of God is far, 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 far removed from that. So it's kind of like I think I've mentioned this before, like a psychological hierarchy or a ladder of different energies that come down to create the physical form. And so when we're talking about our twin flames, when we're talking things like Reiki, etc., what we're trying to do is we're trying to move from the 3D to the 5D. We're trying to get out of the illusion and into the wholeness, into the light. And so what you should be looking at, or an exercise to try and do, is stop and think about that. Stop and deal with the fear of being fake, the fear of being false, the fear of being, the fear that none of this matters, right? The physical existence, the physical symptoms, it's almost like being humans, like being sick, but it's not, because as a human, we can drink, we can get drunk, we can get high, we can fall in love, we can do so many things in a physical form that are in a limited space and a limited capacity, that we can fully embrace piece by piece, moment by moment, those experiences, those feelings, those sensations. And that's where we get to grow, and we get to experience, and we get to change. And that's what the divine and holy self is experiencing and expecting, is for us to encapsulate these pieces, and then hopefully from the ones that aren't working, to grow up, and therefore become, more enlightened, more aware, more understanding. And I'm not really sure what I want to explain to you guys with this, but the thing is that this is how you find freedom, in a sense, because once you start to realize the illusion, you start to realize that if it is an illusion, then all of the anger, all of the pain, all of the that's just trying to hold on to the illusion. And so if you keep holding on to an illusion, which is obviously the pain, then what are you doing, right? You just keep creating more and more illusion, because you keep creating more and more pain, more and more suffering. And in the Book of the Law, there's two pieces here that I wanted to talk about for a moment, because while I do not practice magic I don't practice occult magic, I do practice Reiki, and the two are very, similar in their effects. In the Book of the Law, there's 2 points. The first one is where, I believe it's Nui, it might be Chadit, but anyways, it says, basically it says that sorrow is fleeting, and that joy is the reality of life, and that anything that's a moment of pain is just a shadow, and it's fleeting, it goes away. If I had a better program, I would put this on pause and come back to it. The other part is where there's a piece of the Book of the Law where Aleister Crowley is being dictated the book, and Chadit says that is it Chadit? Anyways, I gotta read this stuff again. There's a piece where they're talking to Aleister, and they're saying, "You hate us, but my power is more mighty than your pen." And so what it's saying is that because the divine is coming through you, and you're the illusion, you can't stop doing what you're doing, because you're not in control, you're not the reality. And the truth is what's working through him, and I do believe it was Chadit. And so Chadit, the light, his holy divine self, which Chadit is a part of all of us, but that energy level is still affecting him. It's controlling his ability to continue, right? And so even though his ego, which is denying that this is true, is trying to stop it, his divine and holy self, the higher self, the holy guardian angel, whatever you want to call it, it's not really that, but the holy and divine self is working through him, and therefore overriding his fear of his reality, that his whole existence is an illusion, that he himself is the illusion. And so what I want to leave you with, because I try to watch the clock, and that's why I always try to keep these at 10 minutes, is that if you really want to truly start to truly surrender to the divine and holy self, to the part of you that knows that all of this is an illusion, knows that all of this pain, all of this suffering, all of this separation is the illusion, because you don't exist. I don't exist. The image you see doesn't exist. Now, it's more quantum physics, whatever, but when we die, we stop existing. Now, as a medium, I have talked to the dead. I have talked to my own grandmother. I have talked to my clients' families. I have talked to a lot of deceased, and they appear exactly like we are. But they do this because it's easier for the divine and holy self to formulate a facet of its original form in that moment, the temporal illusion, than it is for them to show up as, say, an angel with 60 eyes or 150 eyes. Like Archangel Michael, if you read what he's supposed to look like, he's pure eyes. Like everything about him is just eyes. There's no human form to him. It's to behold an archangel it's pretty much overwhelming to most consciousness, because they don't look anything like we expect them to, and that's again the illusion that we put all this emphasis on entities, energy, light itself manifesting has to look human, because our brains don't want to comprehend something outside of itself, and that again becomes the illusion. So focus on the illusion, know that you are an illusion, and deal with the illusion, because the longer I've gone into healing, the more I've uncovered, and the more I uncover, the less human I become, and not by the sense of this is all changing and I'm ascending and all that other horse shit like we talked about, because oh my god, I'm so spiritual, I'm just so spiritual. No, I'm letting go of anything that limits me, and that is enlightenment, becoming lighter. So take this on, listen to it, digest it, work with it, but this whole thing, and honestly it gives me a headache to think about it, this whole thing is an illusion. I don't exist, you don't exist, we don't exist. This plane of existence, that's the illusion. And so the more we let go of this illusion, the more we bring in the light, the more we bring the love, the more we allow ourselves to be the anchors of light and love that we should be. And you can do this without turning into a complete and utter whack job, right? You can become light, you can become an anchor of light with a normal pure consciousness, with a normal non-like, oh my god, rainbows and fairy farts, oh my god. None of that has to happen. You can maintain, I guess you could say, your integrity, your intelligence, but you understand that the two work in unison. You bring, it's like the hexagram, right? The Star of David. The beast and the enlightened, they come together. And so that's the point. It's intelligence with divine intelligence. It's humanity with spirituality. And so you and I, this illusion, that's why with Twin Flames, we're not separate. It's all whole. That's why everything teaches us wholeness. Because this is an illusion. This entire existence is an illusion. You and me, the idea of separation, it's an illusion, because everything becomes pure energy, becomes pure light, becomes pure love. So I'm going to watch this, review it, but hopefully it makes sense. Love you guys. Oops.